How is this album different than the two others?
Well, let's see. First of all, Billy Conway is the full-time drummer now, and I think there's a lot more unity in the band, and that it's reflected on the album. And what else? Dana has developed his double sax technique, and you can hear that on a couple of songs. There's 2 songs recorded live by our sound man, Phil Davidson, and one from Holland and one from California. So we put those on because they're really good versions, and we wanted the album to reflect all the touring and the live playing that we were doing. So
it sounds more tight, you know. It sounds
maybe
like you've proven, Morphine has proven that less is more. How did you get the idea to decide 3 people, no guitar?
Well, we tried it as 3, and it sounded good to us, so we continued.
I think you like to be noticed because not only you play the bottleneck on a 2-string bass. Is that your idea? Was that your idea to do that?
I guess there's a lot of instruments with just 1 or 2 strings all around the world, and it's interesting because every string has every note, and it's really not a limitation at all once you get used to it. So, and I don't know. I started out on 1 string because that was the easiest, and I gradually promoted myself to 2 strings, and now that feels pretty complete. So
you think you'll stop there?
I think we'll
stop taking off, putting on? How do you write your songs? You write them alone and then you bring them to the group, or do you compose?
Yeah, pretty much the words and the general musical outline are there, but it requires a lot of contribution from Billy and Dana to make it work within this format, because we can't fall back into traditional roles within the band because of the instruments.
Are you quite paternal when you write a song? When you give it to them, do you feel like, or do you feel like I have to protect it, or are you open to their?
No, I'm open. I used to ask them, play this, play that, and it was never any good. So I said, just play what you think is the best, and that's always the best. So.
Because since being 3, you have to really find a harmony between you guys. How did you meet? How did you decide to form this?
Well, Billy and I were in another band for a long time before Morphine, called Treat Her Right, Traite-la bien, as they say in some places.
Good advice, men.
Yes, words to live by, we like to think. And Dana actually was a friend who was our roadie for one tour, and he used to play saxophone with us occasionally, and I was a big fan of Dana, and I always wanted to have a different band just with Dana, and so now we do it.
I read that Prince is one of those singers that you really admire, and it seems surprising. It seems such a contrast to what you do. Why? What does Prince have that, or love symbol, I should say?
Well, Prince, I just admire his work, not just his singing, but his producing and his songwriting and his playing, and I just feel an affinity with his creative process. It's hard to explain, but when I hear his records, I feel an affinity. I can empathize with the choices that he made and the directions that he took, and I mention him a lot because I hope that someday he'll hear or read me talking about him, and he'll give me a phone call.
Are you wouldn't mind being produced or collaborating?
Either anything really. I just like to, even if I could just shake his hand, I'd be happy. Maybe, I don't know. No, I'd like to work with him. I'd like to do something with him sometime. And who knows? What
do you think about all his, changing names? You don't care. It's like you like his stuff, and
it's interesting, isn't it? He has the whole world confused. So that's an accomplishment, I suppose.
You're from Boston, or the group is from Boston. You've had Aerosmith from Boston, New Kids on the Block,
Morphine,
Pixies. Is there a particular atmosphere in that town that is sort of putting out these groups?
Yeah, there's a lot of different kinds of groups in Boston. Thousands of them, actually. Much more than you would expect. It's not a big city. But there's a lot of small clubs where you can experiment without any pressure. You can just play in the corner, no stage, no lights, no expectations. You don't even have to be good. As long as you don't irritate the regulars, it's you can do whatever you want. So it was in that spirit that Morphine began. It's just one of many experiments and projects that everyone in the band was trying.
It's also it's a college town. I mean, there are about, I don't know how many, 200.
College city.
College city, 200
it's true,
colleges there. And I think a lot of these groups, alternative groups, are being born on college campuses. Maybe that's also a...
Partly, yeah. There's a lot of bands that move to Boston from Hawaii and even from New York sometimes, because life in New York is hard for a band. Just the cost is really high just to live in New York.
Yeah. If you could write the soundtrack to any movie, by who would you choose? What director would you choose? Or maybe two directors?
Oh, I don't know. How about Robert Altman? Is he available?
I think so. He's open to a lot of ideas, I think.
Bob, give me a call.